Hey, good morning, everybody. Yes, it is about 9:30 exactly, 9:30 a.m. exactly here on this March 19th, 2019. It is right now kind of nice outside, almost 60 degrees. And it's the day before spring officially starts. But of course, spring apparently doesn't really start until the weather gets a little nicer. But tomorrow is the first day of spring. But yeah, I wanted to come on here and, as you can tell, do this edition of topics on my mind. Might be one of the longer ones, maybe not, unless I speed through some of these. But we have a listing of 10 topics to talk about. That's right, 10 topics. And let me just adjust my headset there for a second. All right. But like I said, we got a listing of 10 uh, topics to talk about here. And let's go through them right now if I can get over there without messing anything up here. Okay, so the topics we're going to discuss today are WrestleMania 35. Is it going to be the longest ever? We'll talk about that. The recent Toy Story 4 trailer that just dropped today, this morning. In fact, Good Morning America was even going to show a preview of it, but we got it on the internet as well. I think even before then. Sorry if I mumbled there for a second. Hold on. Oh, sorry, my finger hit the mic there. But like I said, we're going to talk about the Toy Story 4 trailer that just came out this morning. In fact, Good Morning America, like I was trying to say, showed it, I think, at the end of the broadcast, but I believe the internet got a hold of it first, thanks to Disney-Pixar's YouTube channel. Also, we're going to talk about Stephen King's newest remake movie remake, which, as I say in the description, in my honest opinion, I'm not a fan of, and I'll tell you why. Also, we'll talk about the PlayStation 5 and what's rumored to be its main feature and selling points. We're also going to talk about how adult slash movie. Oh, okay. We're also going to talk about, how adult slash mature movies give away certain moments. We're also going to talk about what is Club MPV. We're going to talk about the Oakland Raiders, staying in Oakland for one more season. We are going to talk about which of the three promotions will have a better 2019, whether that's WWE, Impact, MLW, or AEW. Excuse me there. We're also going to talk about what animes could be next in line for a live-action CGI film adaptation. And we're also going to talk about will MP3, My Little Pony, we'll talk about if My Little Pony Generation 5 will find the same success as Friendship is Magic, which is currently Generation 4. Hold on for a second. Got a little bit of an itch there on my ear. I don't know why. Let me make sure I adjusted my headset here correctly. All right, I think everything's good. Yeah, everything's good. But yeah, we're going to talk about those. So without further ado, guys, let's talk about WrestleMania 35 and the rumor, according to reports from places like the Sportster. I think Ringside News has talked about it. I'm not really sure. I haven't seen it there. We're going to Delexman, Alex of Delexman's World here on YouTube has mentioned it. But yeah, WrestleMania 35. Let's start off with that topic, which is the first topic on our list. Let's talk about the fact that WrestleMania 35 is being rumored to be the longest WrestleMania ever. Now, I find it hard to believe that they would go essentially a whole work day, if you know what I mean. Because on average, like with me, I work at Walmart, and of course, I work an average of I try to basically work an average of 8 hours. Right now, the scheduling is kind of screwed up a little bit, but according to our assistant manager, from what I was able to overhear, that'll probably be fixed by week 11, the week 11 schedule, that is. But anyway, long story short, um, on average, in any job, you work about 8 to 12 hours, mostly 8 hours. So essentially, what we're hearing here, the rumor that we're hearing, is that WrestleMania 35 is scheduled to probably be 8 hours. Okay, first of all, there's a problem with that. Unless they plan to do a 4 hour pre-show, or not, well, how do I put this? Unless they plan to do a 2 hour pre-show, which is probably going to be, or a 3 hour pre-show, and then they follow that up with a 5 to 6 hour WrestleMania, I can understand that. I can understand that because apparently what's rumored to make this WrestleMania long is the fact that it's going to have 17 matches. Yeah, 17 matches. Rumored. Now, we also got to add in the fact that they also have to probably bring in some outside entertainment, like performers and all that, to do some interludes, concerts, if you will, during the show. So we got to add in that factor as well. But here's the thing. Now, being a fan, being a longtime fan, I know that WWE, when it was known as WWF, is no stranger to long WrestleManias, or having a WrestleMania with multitude of matches on the card. WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 4, WrestleMania 2, I think. Well, actually, 3 and 4. I'll put it this way: 3, 4, 5, and 6, as far as I can recall, were the only ones that had a multitude of matches that went into the double digits. So they're no stranger to this, especially when it comes to Mania. But I find it hard to believe that they would make the actual pay-per-view itself, not the kickoff show, but the actual pay-per-view itself, 8 hours long. I find that hard to believe. Again, I'm more willing to believe them doing a 2 to 3 hour pre-show followed up by a 5 to 6 hour Mania. That I can find believable. Because a lot of people say, because even WWE said it themselves, what happens on the kickoff show doesn't really apply to what goes on the main show. So I would assume that a majority of some of the matches, because if it's 17 matches, which I find hard to believe too, I think basically you're looking at, I'd say at least, I'll say this. If the kickoff show is 3 hours, I would say at least 3 of those matches are going to be on the kickoff show, and the other 14 on the main show. And some of those 14 being like quick squashes, as far as I know, or as far as I can tell. But I don't honestly believe that WWE would intentionally, easy for me to say, but I don't think WWE would intentionally do an 8 hour straight up pay-per-view and then maybe 3 hours of a kickoff show that don't count, because you're essentially giving us 11 hours. I'm looking more along the lines of we're going to get a 2 to 3 hour kickoff show and a 5 to 6 hour Mania. That makes more logical sense. Either we like it or we don't. And I look at the fact that you're going to probably have 3, maybe 4 matches, 3 to 4 matches on the kickoff show, and basically, because you're going to have 3 to 4 matches, you're going to have 13 to 14 matches on the main show. That's what I look at. That's what I'm looking at. I mean, because honestly, why would you want to do 8 hours straight of a main pay-per-view card that don't make sense. I mean, because okay, look, this is what I see what's happening. This is what I see happening. WWE says they listen to the audience. So I think what's been going on for the past several years, and the extension of how long WrestleManias and now SummerSlams and even Survivor Series and Rumbles go, even now the B level in your house like pay-per-views that they have in between. The reason they run so long at times is I think WWE is trolling us with that. They're trolling us with the length of these pay-per-views is because of the fact that it's what we, the fans, or mostly the hardcore fans, want. We want long pay-per-views. We want it that way. And that's not entirely true. I mean, okay, if you want to do a long pay-per-view, that's fine, but make sure you don't have no interludes or backstage segments. It's just match after match after match. Maybe that's what fans want, the hardcore fans, but not a show that's so long that part of that runtime, the main runtime that is basically backstage segments and concerts. Just make sure it's none of that is what I think fans are trying to get at. It's like, look, we don't mind if it's a long show, but make sure the main focus is on the matches, give the matches time, and go from there. Now, that might be what they do, because some of the matches already announced, being rumored and all that, do need the proper amount of time to showcase and shine. So, excuse me a second. I had to pop my elbow there. But like I said, it's one thing, like I said, to do a 6-hour main show, and thus you give most of your matches there, if not all of the matches, the time they need, compared to doing a 6-hour show where some of the matches are short on time, or given short amount of time, because you also want to do your Hall of Fame thing, which isn't a problem. You want to do that, fine, no problem. But also the fact that you want to give time to these celebrities doing the concerts, the little comedy bits, or the backstage skits, it don't make sense. I mean, the fact that you're giving, on the field, on the ground, reporting duties to these guys from SNL, Saturday Night Live at WrestleMania, that kind of tells me that's what a chunk, maybe not a lot, but a chunk. Well, maybe not a chunk, but I would say a fair amount, a fair to small amount of WrestleMania's time frame is going to go is to those guys. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that's what part of that could go. But hopefully they minimize their time, the SNL guys' time in skits and whatever they got planned for them, and focus more on the wrestling, because that's what fans want. Because like I said, fans are appreciative and accepting of a 6-hour WrestleMania if the main focus is on giving the appropriate time needed to these matches. I mean, heck, you got what was announced this past Monday or last night. You have a triple threat, maybe fatal 4-way tag team championship match for the women's tag team titles. Now, some might say, oh, well, that'll end up on the pre-show. Nope. If you got a Hall of Famer coming out of retirement, and these are newly established championships, then they're going to be on the main show. Whether they're the opening match, in the middle, whatever. They're going to be on the main show. So if you want that match, which is going to be between Natalya, Beth, against Nia and Tamina and Sasha and Bayley, if you want to showcase how good the women's division is and how important these women tag team titles are, then you give these women the proper time, the appropriate time that they need. Now, on top of that, though, again, I just don't buy WrestleMania as an overall main pay-per-view event being 8 hours long. Again, I can buy the fact that they're going to run a 2 to 3 hour 2 to 3 hour kickoff show, followed up by maybe a 5 to 6 hour pay-per-view. I can understand that. I could buy that. You know, but I don't buy, honestly, I do not buy, this is the truth, I do not buy the whole main pay-per-view being 8 hours long. Just because you're rumored to have 17 matches doesn't mean, the whole thing's going to be 8 hours, the main show is going to be 8 hours long. It's not. So I look at it this way. The 8 hours as a whole, overall, when you combine both the kickoff and the main show, I can believe. I can believe that. So, is WrestleMania going to be the longest? Overall, structure-wise, when you combine both the kickoff show and the main event itself, then yeah, it will be. But as a main pay-per-view, as the main show itself, I don't buy 8 hours. I buy maybe 5 to 6 hours, but not 8 hours. Because you got to remember, they're on the East Coast. And if they're on the East Coast, that basically means things happen a lot later. I mean, WWE has had a history of ending WrestleManias when they've been on the East Coast lately over the past couple of years, a little after midnight. And I don't think anybody wants that. So my thought process is this. The event's probably going to start at 4. And if it's 5 to 6 hours, I see an end time. 4. Now it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna start about 4, which is about 7 o'clock Eastern time, 4 Pacific. I look at the fact that from where I live, from the time zone that I live in, which is Pacific time, I look at the fact that WrestleMania starts at 4, and if it's 5 hours, it ends at 9 o'clock. If it's 6 hours, it ends at 10. I can buy that. I do not buy it starting at 4 o'clock and ending at midnight my time. Because you know what time that would be on the East Coast, right? Because if it ends at midnight my time, 1 Mountain, 2 Central, it's 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't think they're going to want to wrestle till 3 a.m. in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So I don't buy people saying, oh, the main pay-per-view is going to be 8 hours long. No. I can buy the kickoff show being 2 to 3 hours combined with 5 to 6 hours of the main show. That's what I can buy. So overall, as a structure, overall, as an overall structure, I can believe 8 hours when you combine 2 to 3 hours of a kickoff show with 5 to 6 hours of the main show. But I don't think the main show is going to be 8 hours, if that's what people are wondering. So, yeah, I don't think that's gonna. I don't think that's gonna happen. And besides, I don't think the New York Athletic Commission is going to let that happen. So, anyway, that's my thought on that. Let me know what you guys think down below. What your thoughts are. Now, next up, we're going to talk about what just came out this morning, the Toy Story 4 full-length official trailer. We've gotten teases here and there, but we've not gotten anything fully, full length, or kind of like, okay, this is giving you an idea of what you're going to get until now. And I'm going to say this. From what I saw, and I'm sure a lot of other people saw, this definitely could feel like it's a finale. It feels like it. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, well, we thought Toy Story 3 was the finale. It is. And of course, there is rumors that we could have 2 more Toy Stories after this. Just now focusing on the Bonnie years and probably going the same route. But to me, this felt like a finale. The overall structure, I'm going to put it this way, I thought was good. I like the fact that we finally do find out that the reason I think his name's Sporky or Forky is alive is Bonnie created him. Now, what that does, ladies and gentlemen, is again kind of gives us the illusion that when a kid gets a toy, it kind of creates the illusion that their imagination brings that toy to life. Now, you might say, sorry for that brief pause for a second. I was thinking about something. Now, you might say, well, wait a minute, doesn't that kind of contract or contradict um, what happened in the first Toy Story with Buzz and everything? You could say that, but I think what it was is when Andy got Buzz for the first time. Okay, when Andy got Buzz for the first time, um, the moment he opened up Buzz as a present and he touched him, he touched the box, Andy's imagination, his love for this toy, helped bring Buzz to life. Which is why, which as crazy as it might sound, kind of explains why a lot of the toys are alive. The moment a kid embraces it, shows it love, and starts playing with it or has the intention to play with it, they come to life. Or in this case, if they decide to create it, like Bonnie did, just the hard work and the love for what they've created helps bring that to life. Now, what this looks like here, from what I saw in the trailer, is it's going to be somewhat like a buddy comedy, but at this time it's between Woody and Forky. Now, some of the other elements I kind of got a kick out of was when as they're traveling, because what happens is it looks like the family's going on a road trip, and what happens is Forky during this road trip, and we kind of get this sense about Forky in the first teaser and all that. Um, Basically, Forky doesn't believe he's a toy, or doesn't believe he should be a toy, or he should be the way he is. You know, because of the fact that, I mean, he even says it in the trailer. He's meant for salads. He's meant for all kinds of things like salads, Chinese bowls, something, and then the trash. And when he says that, then the trash, and he says freedom and all that, he jumps right out the window. He lets the wind carry him. Now, what I do like about this, and it's something we can all relate to, is when we create something as kids, and we have a person, we end up having a personal attachment to it. It's because it's what we created. It's like, this is ours. You know, we're not going to let it go. So you kind of see that personal attachment. And you kind of see the disappointment in Bonnie's face in the trailer when she sees that her creation is gone. But what I do like about this trailer as well is it does finally give us an idea of why where Bo Peep has been, and you know what's going on. We find out that apparently she was sold, of course, as we found out in the third movie, but it looks like she was sold to the owners of an antique shop. Sort of like, well, a mom and pop antique shop where you have all these old classic toys and all that are there. In fact, what's kind of funny about this, and I know some people may not like it, is you kind of get almost an Annabelle Goosebumps like feel with these toys that greet them when you watch the trailer, because these toys look like they could be something out of a freaking horror film, or just the way they act. And this is where we find Bo Peep, because even Woody's like, where have you been? What's going on? And even though she doesn't essentially say right off the bat where she's been, well, there's no doubt Disney and Pixar cannot avoid her not telling us or telling Woody in the film what's happened, how she got to where she is, and why, as it's teased in the trailer, why she feels more alive, why she feels more at home or more free than she's ever been. I mean, she even says that there's more to life than being a toy. And I think there's even a line in there that states that they just throw you away. So it looks like what they're doing with Bo Peep, what they look like they're doing with Bo Peep is they're making her go through that thing that Jesse went through. You know, and that Woody was kind of feeling like when Buzz came around, like he was like she had become obsolete. She had become not wanted anymore, and she was just going to be thrown away or given away, what have you. And that's exactly what happened, apparently. So she felt basically like she was not wanted. I mean, heck, she has a new attitude, like, "Oh, Sheriff Woody always wanted to save the day," kind of deal. And we do see why she doesn't, why she's more accustomed now to her new lifestyle, because it's next to an amusement park, and this even enthralls Woody. Like, wow, this is pretty cool. And I think this is where another part of the story is going to come in. Well, Woody's going to now be conflicted of like, do I want to go back? And it looks like in the trailer, as we see towards the end of it, he wants to, or does he want to remain and be with Bo again, but in this new environment? It to me, it's going to be really, really intriguing what they do here, with Woody and with the whole Woody and Bo Peep deal. And again, I think Bo Peep is probably, and hello there. I can't pronounce your name because it's another language, but yeah, the whole Bo Peep thing, definitely, definitely to me feels like, again, like I said, I feel we're going to get an explanation. We have to. But I'm hoping they don't do what I think they're going to do with Bo Peep. And basically, she's gone for a while and everything, but then she turns out to be the antagonist, because movies have been known to do that. They'll take a character that's missing from one film, bring them back, and all of a sudden they're the bad guy or the bad girl. I hope they don't do that. I don't think they will. I think basically what what we're going to get here, and this might sound convoluted to some people, is we're probably going to get two to three story plots. One's going to be on Woody, one is going to be on Forky, and having to probably accept the fact that, hey, when you got created by Bonnie, you became a toy. Yes, we understand you're this really, but you're actually now this. You've been given more of a purpose. And I think Woody explains that to him in the trailer. We're going to get that. We're going to get a bonding, but we're going to get a story on Woody, on Bo Peep, hopefully finding out why she probably doesn't want a chance, leaving this new life of hers and going back to a life that she knew before, but this time now with Bonnie. And we'll probably get an idea of what's going on and why she became what she's become, or how she's become more action oriented, free life, whatever. And we're probably also going to get, combined with that, a story with Woody being conflicted, like he wants to be with Bo Peep, and he knows she doesn't want to leave, but he also doesn't want to lose her again, and he wants to take her with. To me, it's going to be with Woody. We're going to have a conflicting plot with him. Like, he wants to be with Bo Peep, but he wants to bring her with him to stay with Bonnie, to live with him and the other toys with Bonnie. But if being with her means staying behind and living out this new life, it's going to be a conflicting issue for him. So overall, I'm going to say this. I do like the trailer. I do like the moment where they realize they got to go and find Woody and Forky, and it's like, well, what do they do? Jump out? What do they do? Well, like, what would they ask Buzz? What would Woody do? Jump out a window? And Buzz is like, yep, and he jumps right out of the car window. So, or the RV's window. So to me, I definitely think so. That's a funny moment. You did get some funny moments here. So overall, it definitely looks like it's a good trailer, and like I said, it feels like it's a finale. It's like an appropriate finale, maybe, unless they plan to do two more after this. But to me, I think this sounds like an appropriate finale, because we're probably getting, or more than likely, getting Bo Peep back. We're getting an answers as to why toys have life. Even when the kids are around, how they're brought to life, and we're probably getting a good, farewell for Woody, because he could be like, because who knows what's going to happen. He might stay behind, be with Bo, or he might convince Bo to give it another shot, living with a kid. So we'll find out what happens. But I'll say this: Toy Story 4's trailer did a good job at getting me excited or getting me hyped and excited to see the movie. And let's see if it lives up to the legacy that Toy Story, previous three, the previous three Toy Story movies gave us in the past. We'll have to wait till June 21st, or till people get special screenings for it. But cannot wait to see this movie. It looks like a decent addition to the Toy Story franchise, and definitely feels like it's a finale. It has that finale feel. In my opinion, it feels like it has that finale feel to it. So, with that said, next up, we're going to talk about Stephen King's newest remake, which, again, as I said, in my opinion, I'm personally not a fan of, and that is Pet Sematary. I mean, look, I get that remakes, reboots, retcons of nostalgic movies, horror, dramatic, comedy, whatever, are all the way are all the rave right now. They're the thing to do in Hollywood. But to me, I just don't like this. I don't like this idea. It might be getting. And look, I'm not saying you shouldn't like the movie. If you want to watch the movie and get a kick out of it, fine. That's up to you. But to me, I just don't like it. I just don't like this idea. I mean, it's personally, it is a personal situation because, me and my mom, we lost her cat. We had to put her cat down a couple, last year. And then, of course, we lost her bird this past month. So, to me, it's just not my cup of tea. It's just not really my cup of tea. I mean, here's the thing. I'd be more willing, and I never thought I'd say this, I'd be more willing to watch It, the remake of It, over this. But I'm not even going to watch that either because of the fact that I'm just not a fan of them doing these kind of movies, making pets that you hold dearly, that have passed on, making them look like threats, making them look like monsters. I do not like that. I am not a fan of it. And I don't like the fact that you take clowns that are supposed to be innocent and fun-loving and making them into monsters. I just don't like that whatsoever. I mean, look, Stephen King, I'm not going to deny, Stephen King is a great author. He writes a variety of different genres, I should say, of books. Mostly his biggest claim is horror films. But he's done some thrillers with a horror theme to them that have not been that bad. So I'm going to give him that. And he's also done some non-horror stuff. So we know he can go outside his norm and find success. But to me, I'm just not a fan of this story whatsoever. I'm not. Again, it might be getting some rave reviews and everything, but you know what? The critics are one thing. The only people that are going to help make this a success are the fans of Stephen King and the fans of horror genre movies like this. But overall, I'm not a fan. I'm not going to see it. Anytime they show promotional feeds for it, I just hide that feed, delete it. Again, I'm just not a fan. I'm just not really a fan. And honestly, like I said, the only people who are going to make it a success are the fans of horror-themed stuff and Stephen King. But I think overall, besides that, it's not going to do so well. I think after the first week, it might do good. But then after that, it's going to fall off. To me, it's not going to have the momentum that It did, the remake of It did. I think it's mostly going to have a 1 to 2 week success, and then it's just going to fall off, and that's about it. Because I can tell you one thing. There are a lot of people, they're not going to come out and say it, but there's a lot of people that are not a fan of this idea. They're not a fan. They don't like the concept. They don't like it. I know the ASCPA doesn't like this. I could definitely tell you they don't like it. So, to me, I'm just not a fan, and I don't think it should have been made. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I just don't think a movie like this. I mean, look, the directors and studios at Hollywood, they can make any movie they want. but I just don't feel a movie like this is appropriate. I really don't. So to me, I mean, especially when you get recent reports of animals, passing because of age or passing because of this or that. It's to me, it's just not the appropriate time to have a movie out like this. I just don't like the idea. I don't like the concept. And again, it might have a 2 to 3, it might have a week to 2 success rate, but it's not going to capitalize. It's not going to have the momentum that it did, and I think it's just going to fall off after 1 or 2 weeks and really just go downhill from there. And I just don't see it. I just don't see it being a success afterwards. I really don't. So if you want to see it, if you want to go and enjoy it, hey, that's your right. You know, have fun with it. But to me, I'm just personally not a fan of it, and I've never been a fan of that kind of stuff. So that's just my personal opinion, and we'll leave it at that. So, but if you want to go see it and you feel like you have a good time, go ahead. To me, though, I'm just not a fan. I don't endorse it. I don't like it, and I'm going to leave it at that. So, I mean, these are the kind of stories, in my opinion, that should never be made. Honestly, should never be made. So, I'm just going to leave it at that. But that's just my personal opinion. So, next up, we're going to talk about the PlayStation 5, which is going to be coming, and what is rumored to be some of its main selling points. Its main feature and selling points, I should say. And according to people like Review Tech USA and several others, one of the main features and selling points for the PS5 is going to be its backwards compatibility. The backwards compatibility for not just the PlayStation 4, but for the previous PlayStation consoles. We're talking PS3, PS2, and PS1. So that's really interesting to hear. And I'm already sold on it because I have a majority of PlayStation 2 games. I have still somewhere some PlayStation games. So I'm totally sold on the idea that if we can play the PlayStation games, PS1 games, on a PlayStation 5, on a new PlayStation console, I'm looking forward to that. Now, the other selling point, obviously, it's going to be in 4K. So that's going to be its main target will be 4K, even though you might still be able to play it on 1080p. Inside my thumb hit the mic there. So that's going to be another selling point. I think one of the other main features and selling points it may have, and hopefully they do focus on this, is faster loading times for games. Whether the digital, straight up disc, whatever, give us faster loading times. In other words, I believe I've heard, maybe I'm wrong, that they're going to have a processor chip in there that's going to allow loading times and stuff to be a lot faster than even the PlayStation 4 consoles have given. That overall, the thing about the PlayStation 5 is it's going to be the most powerful so far out of any consoles. So hopefully that remains to be true. But what they put on the inside, from what I've heard, is going to help make it that way. Again, the backwards compatibility with the previous PlayStation consoles is a great selling point. And now I don't know how that's going to work, though. I got to go back and watch Review Tech USA's take on it. But hopefully it's not a case of, okay, just like with the Xbox, they give you a catalog of backwards compatibility games of Xbox 360 and the original Xbox, if you will. And that basically you got to insert your disc to download, I guess, the ROM of the game or the emulation of the game, and so you could have it. But the only way you could play it is to put your disc in or something like that, or whatever. Hopefully they don't do that, and it's just put in the game and you play it. Hopefully that's what they do. Not like, oh, got to go through this catalog, select this PlayStation 2 game, put your disc in, and then that's how it's going to run. Hopefully they don't do that. Hopefully it's just put the game in, be done with it, go from there. Another thing about this, I know that they're going to probably carry on from the PlayStation 4 Pro is the 4K abilities. Play 4K movies and stuff online, on the console. So hopefully that'll work. Overall, though, overall, from what I've seen, I'm going to even look this up here. Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second here. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to look at Tech Radar, hopefully with nothing going on, because last time I went onto something, it went beep, 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 beep. Yeah, little known fact. I was looking up some stuff on Wonder Woman and all that, and issues she was in, or what issues to kind of buy. And I ended up clicking on something that I shouldn't have clicked on, and all of a sudden I got this alarm-like sound going beep, beep, beep. You're in the wrong page. You're in is not protected. Very, very bad. Your Microsoft Edge has froze. And what I had to do was not once but twice shut down my computer and turn it on. The first time, everything looked okay, but it went right back to that page. So I had to close out the whole Microsoft Edge, give it time, and then I shut it back down, then restarted it or started it back up, and everything was fine. So, just double check kind of deal, and also make sure you don't go into that page. Now, let's see what Tech Radar has to say. Okay, well, the PlayStation 5, according to the Sony Interactive CEO, John Cordera, that the PlayStation 5 won't be released until about 2 years from now. But to counter that, they say a report from Ace Securities claimed the PS5 could release as soon as Christmas of this year, earlier than the Xbox 2. I guess that's the name of the new Xbox console. Okay. So they're just going by what they would like to see, but what they could see. Now, they point out a patent suggests backwards compatibility. They have games that are in development for the PS5 already happening. And there is rumors of a wireless headset probably coming for it as well. So, and that was 4 days ago. But yeah, basically everything that I mentioned is exactly what they would like to see happen, or is being rumored. Now, my suggestion would be as well to, if they're going to, my suggestion would be, and I would like to see this, is for those that don't have a 4K television or have the space yet to put a 4K television in the room, my suggestion is if you're going to keep the 4K racial aspect to it, or picture quality to 4K quality to it, then to me, you should have that carried over so that so that people that have a 1080p television can have 4K like visual. In other words, even though it'd be 1080p, you kind of get the same detail you would get with 4K. That's what I'm saying. So hopefully they'll work on that as well. But overall, not much really more to say about it because they are being tight-lipped about it, according to what Tech Radar said. So I would say that whatever they have, whenever it comes out, whether it's at the end of the year, during the holidays, or it's in 2 years, I'm going to say this: if what is being rumored so far is true, or turns out some of that turns out to be true, then whether or not it's going to have competition from the Xbox Two, I guess that's what it's called. I think overall, and this is not because I'm being biased or anything, it's just reality. I think the PS5 is going to surpass the PS4, and it's going to be probably the best-selling console of all when it comes out. Almost guaranteed there. Almost guaranteed. So that's about all I could say on the PS5. If anything else comes out, hopefully Review Tech USA will talk about it and others will talk about it. But right now, it looks like it's all positive good news for what we could possibly get with the PS5. All right, number 5, and this is a very interesting topic. I've been thinking about it, thinking how I could how I could talk about this. We could do its own video on it, but I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna add it in, toss it in as part of topics on my mind, as part of the topics on my mind thing podcast here, as well as lumping in as part of some of the topics I want to talk about. And that's number 5: how how adult/mature movies give away certain moments. Okay, Lord forgive me for what I'm about to talk about. But when I talk about, from what I've been able to, from what I've been able to tell and hear about, if you go to Showtime or you go to HBO or you go to Cinemax or wherever, or even if you add certain stations or channels to your cable package, heck, even Xfinity StreamPix does this. But when you look at the adult content, if you catch my drift, and you look at the covers for those movies, it's almost like some of these adult mature movies, if you will, are not even trying. They're not. Because from what I've been hearing, the cover basically gives away a certain moment that happens in the movie. And I think you all know what that moment is. I'll give it to you like this. If the cover has two beautiful women, if the cover for the movie that is for on demand to be watched instantly, if that cover has two women next to each other in certain poses and stuff, then that kind of tells you you're going to get a certain scene between the two right off the bat. Maybe a couple minutes in from what I've heard, maybe towards the end, maybe right in the middle, and maybe it'll happen once or twice. But you'll get a certain scene between those two ladies and some other ladies, if you catch my drift. And it's like they're not even trying. They're not. So, you know, here's my question. So here's my question. If you know there are people that are fans of that, especially couples that may want to watch something like that to get in a certain mood, why give away a possible moment like that on the cover? You could do it like a movie splash page cover if you want to. That way you don't give away certain things that could occur. But again, it's like, you know, they're giving away, just checking something there. They're giving away a certain moment or two or several that's going to happen if you catch my drift. But yeah, to me, from what I've heard and understood, it's like, eh, from what I've heard, understood, and heck, I've even seen the covers. I've seen them. It's like you're not even trying. You're not even trying to hide the fact that you're going to get a moment between these two ladies, maybe even other women in the film. You're not even trying. So, I mean, I'll put it this way: from what I've heard and understood, adult shows, adult slash mature shows that get shown late at night, or part of the late at night programming for some of these channels, are better at hiding certain moments that happen between, certain characters than a movie cover does. If you catch my drift. And I know I say catch my drift a lot because you kind of get the idea of what I'm getting at, of what I'm talking about. So, yeah, it's like why? Why would you give away a moment like that? You know, if I'm any of these adult studios and stuff, and I want to put out a promotional poster for my adult film, and I know that film's going to have certain moments between women, then what I do is I try hiding it. I don't give it away right off on the cover. I try hiding it. That's what I try to do. So, but yeah, you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about without really talking about it. You know what I'm saying? you know, um, but that's really all I want to say about that. That's all I really want to say about that right there. So next up, let's talk about something that I'm sure a lot of you have heard about, especially if you're fans of photo shoots, video photo shoots for magazines, physical magazines, video magazines, whatever. Club MPV. What is it? Well, all you have to do is do a few things. Go to Google or Bing, type in Club MPV, and there you go. You'll get the link right then and there, and you'll see exactly what it is. Because, yes, it is a video magazine company, but from what I understand, and from what I've heard, and from what I was shown, basically, and God forgive me for talking about this, basically, the women that are involved in this, take part in videos, short films, playfulness, dramaticness, whatever, of having a good time, a feel good time, as they put it, playing in ponds of mud, quicksand, or whatever kind of substance the people behind the scenes are in charge of Club MPV and the other affiliations of it, because it does have some other sites affiliated with it, create. Yes, there are women that do pose and have fun and these kind of things, more than you can imagine. Oh, hold on for a sec. Let me check something here. But yeah, they have more. They actually get. They are actually. What I'm trying to say is they're actually allowed, if they want, if the people filming the video shoot allow them to, they're actually allowed to go and have fun in these environments, even to the point that a majority of these video shoots whether they're just, for fun, 20 minutes of a video shoot, whether they're little short films, whatever. Majority of them, from what I've seen and heard from people, from what I've seen, shown, I should say, and heard, a majority of them end with the woman or women, because there could be a multitude of them, from what I understand, submerging under the substance, and then that's how they end it. They submerge under the substance, and that's how they end sometimes. Sometimes they'll even do an additional part at the end, which is kind of like an aftertake video shoot or behind the scenes deal, where the woman or the women come back up and, to kind of show you, yeah, they're okay, they're fine. Because from what people say, the way they edit these films lately, or these video shoots or films lately, is one of the women will go, is the woman or the women will go under. They'll have a little moment where you see them like blowing a couple of muddy chunks or whatever substance are under up into the air, and then it transitions real smoothly to where it looks like they're remaining under there, and all you see is just stuff popping up. But you could tell even through that transition that they already came up, and they're just filming it from that angle to give you that idea that they're still under there. So yeah, that's basically what CLUBMPV is. And what CLUBMPV stands for, or MPV stands for in general, from what I was told and from what I've seen and heard and shown, is mud puddle visuals. That's what it stands for. And apparently they get paid a lot of money. They get paid a good amount of money, because you don't just have, because the way it takes place is a lot of this takes place here in the southern part of California, I think around Glendale. But there's also parts of it that take place in the Philippines or other parts of the world or other parts of the country. So yeah, they have they have a far-reaching outlet, or they have a far-reaching grasp on a lot of things, and they have outlets around the world, if not around this country, or the United States, I should say. So yeah, that's basically what CLUBMPV is. It's a video shoot. It's a video magazine series that does more than just regular video shoots, if you catch my drift. So, but that's all I really want to say on that. I don't want to go too much into detail, but if you're interested and intrigued, just Google CLUBMPV and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, next up, I'm going to stretch here for a second. Hold on. Stretch for a moment. All right, next up, let's talk about the Raiders, the Oakland Raiders, staying in Oakland for one more season. In case you guys don't know, originally the people in Oakland, some of the people in charge, I think city officials and all that, were not too thrilled that the Raiders were leaving for Las Vegas. So you can look this up on Google. You can look it up through ESPN and all that. KRON4. Go to the website for it. But basically, there was a big hoopla. There was a big negative hoopla, if you will, on the Raiders going to Las Vegas. The people at Oakland feeling betrayed. So for a while, it looked like the Raiders for the upcoming season for the upcoming 2019 season, weren't going to really have a place to play. And they were negotiating and talking with other places to probably do the final season in the Bay. They were talking, believe it or not, to the people at Levi Stadium. Thus, both the Raiders and the Niners would have to share the stadium, just like the Jets and the Giants share MetLife Stadium in New York. They would have to share the stadium here in Santa Clara. There was talks of the Raiders going to AT&T Park and finishing off there. But finally, in the long run, I should say, it was announced that an agreement was made finally to keep the Raiders in Oakland for one more season, let them play at the Coliseum for one more season. But it kind of shows you right here and there not how not just fans, but city officials how passionate they are about the Oakland Raiders. You know, how passionate they are about this team and how they feel about them leaving. Now, true, there were reports that the way it was done, a lot of the people, officials, and all that felt it was illegal the way it was originally being done. You know, the Raiders going to Las Vegas and all that. You know, Mike Davis, Al Davis's son, making this transition happen, or being a major part of this transition happen. Easy for me to say there. So yeah, the city officials and all of them were not too thrilled about the Raiders going to Oakland, or not going to Oakland, but going to Las Vegas the way they were being positioned to do so, or being uh, showcased of doing so, I should say. Even though Las Vegas has basically said they're building a stadium, like right when you come into Vegas, you see the "Welcome to Las Vegas" sign. It's supposed to be in that vicinity. Now, I don't know if they've broken ground on it yet. They probably have, and they're probably in the process of getting it up and going. But the Raiders have one more season in the Bay. Now, what that means is come 2020, if the stadium is not done yet, they'll be playing the first season in Las Vegas at Sam Boyd Stadium, which is home of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas Rebels, the UNLV Rebels. So that'll be an interest in conflicts right there, because it's going to be like, okay, um, how is the Raiders supposed to play in Las Vegas if UNLV has a home game before the day before, and the Raiders have a home game the day after? It's going to be really interesting for them to clean up or kind of rearrange certain things when it comes to that. It's going to be really, I mean, it's not going to be hard. It's just going to be like they're going to have to really, the grounds crew, I'll put it this way, the grounds crew is going to be paid overtime. There's no doubt. So, at least for that 1 year. At least for that 1 year. So I definitely think that the Raiders are going to have an. I'll say this. I'll put it this way: the Raiders are going to have a very interesting last season in the Bay Area, and even if the Raiders make it to the playoffs and maybe even um, make it to the Super Bowl, I can tell you this: you're going to have a lot of Raider fans happy and jubilating at the fact that they'll possibly getting one more reign as champs. Is one more reign as champs from the Raiders, especially in the Raiders' last season in Oakland. That'd be, I mean, what a way to go, right? What a way to go! So that'll be very interesting. That would be a very jubilating kind of moment for the entire Bay Area, whether you're a Raiders fan or you're not, to be able to say, hey, yeah, they may be leaving for Las Vegas, but they gave us a heck of a parting gift by bringing the Vince Lombardi Trophy home. So that that could happen. That could be one way. Fans would be more. Where I would say the move would be less. The move to Vegas would be less be less of a betrayal and more like, okay, you gave us this finally. We're willing to forgive you, and we'll still cheer for you even though you'll be in Las Vegas. So yeah, even though they'd be in Las Vegas, even though it'd be in Las Vegas. Um, or even though they'd be heading to Las Vegas, I should say, at least they'd be giving Oakland a heck of a parting gift if they able to achieve that. But yeah, the way it went about originally in the eyes of a lot of people, even the city officials, wasn't right. But I guess cooler heads did prevail, and Oakland is able to stay one more season or the Raiders are able to stay one more season in Oakland and play at the Coliseum. Hopefully, for the fans, for the Raider fans, they make it a heck of a season, because if they don't achieve success this year, make the playoffs, maybe go all the way, if you know what I'm saying, kind of make up for the terrible season they had last year, then all I can say is I hope John Gruden, I hope Mike Davis, and I hope the rest of the Oakland, I hope Derek Carr, Antonio Brown, I hope all the Raiders are ready to hear in that last home game the "you sold out" chants, because that will be what happens if they don't succeed and make up for last year and try to make the playoffs and at least make the Super Bowl. So, but yeah, they're going to remain in Oakland one more season, and wish them all the best of luck, because they're going to need it. There's no doubt. All right, next topic we're going to talk about here is which of the three will have a better 2019: WWE, Impact Wrestling, MLW Major League Wrestling, or AEW All Elite Wrestling. Now, what I mean by that is, you could say, you could ask, does that mean financial structure and all that? Not exactly, but I'm going to say product rise. Like, who's going to deliver the better product for people to flock to and enjoy and say, hey, this is the promotion you should watch? And I'm going to basically say, I think that with a lot of momentum getting behind it, and with Cody and the Bucks and all of them saying the right things that need to be said, right now, I would say the promotion that's going to have the better 2019, especially starting in 2 months, Memorial Day weekend. Sorry about that. I think the company that's going to have the biggest impact, no offense, no pun taken, is going to be All Elite Wrestling. I mean, no offense to Impact Wrestling, they're doing what they can with their product right now. They got a pay-per-view, I think, upcoming. I think it's called Rebellion, I think. And then Major League Wrestling, they're doing some good things. Major League Wrestling is doing some great things. Obviously, right now, the main story that they're leading into, the two main stories that they're leading into in the future are Contra versus MLW, but mostly Simon Gotch versus Tom Lawler. Simon Gotch versus Tom Lawler for the MLW World Heavyweight Championship, and possibly Contra challenging for the tag team titles. That being Fatu, that's his name, and Samal, whatever, Samil, if you will, Samil and Fatu challenging for the tag team championships. That's I think the two main stories they're going with. So, and of course they got Battle Riot 2 coming up in a couple of months. Well, within a month or two, where the interesting concept about that is it's a battle royal, but it's a battle royal that could be that has a variety of ways, has a variety of eliminations, a variety of ways of you to be eliminated: pinfall, submission, or over the top rope, that is. So anyway, MLW is doing good, but I think the one that's going to really succeed this year, and as much as WWE might be a financial conglomerate, and it looks like with the exception of Raw right now, it looks like they're trying to turn things around, especially with the rumors that Fox wants them to be edgier and all that, and the fact that they're trying to go more real because some of the storylines and feuds and programs need that kind of and that kind of a feel to them. I think right now the promotion that's got the most momentum, that's going to have a breakout year, is All Elite Wrestling. I really do. I mean, they got a pay-per-view upcoming with Double or Nothing. They got um, they got a pay-per-view, I think, about a month or two later, and then they got All In 2. So I think, and then they got the television deal, which is supposed to happen in October. So I definitely see All Elite Wrestling being the one that's going to have the breakout year and it's going to have the year here in 2019. Now I know some of you are saying, "Well, why didn't you talk about Ring of Honor?" Ring of Honor, like MLW, I'll say, is hitting their stride. They're doing all the right things, but I think what's going to be the determining factor is how successful the Madison Square Garden show goes. Yes, they sold out the venue, but the question is, will they be able to build off that success of that sellout and give us a tremendous show? That's going to be the question that we're going to have to look forward to, because right now, basically, the selling point for G1 Supercard is winner takes all. You're going to have champions versus champions with both championships on the line. You have the Guerrillas of Destiny taking on Villain Enterprises for both belts, the IWGP and the Ring of Honor belts. You have Will Ospreay, the Never Openweight champion, challenging Jeff Cobb for the Ring of Honor television title. And then just announced you have a Ring of Honor triple threat ladder match between Jay Lethal, Matt Taven, and Marty Scurll. So, as well as among others. So, those three matches, in my opinion, along with the others they might have advertised, or they have advertised, but those three, in my opinion, are going to be the selling points of how successful this event will be. But anyway, and how successful the rest of the year for Ring of Honor and even New Japan will be. But right now, Ring of Honor is hitting all the strides to where if it's not AEW, it will be Ring of Honor. And I might just add ROH to the name here, to the list here. In fact, I'll probably do that right now. There we go. So yeah, them and New Japan, I think the momentum that they have right now is depending on how successful G1 Supercard is going to be. So, and how the crowd will react to that. Now, but again, and again, Impact and WWE, like I said, they're trying to change things up a little bit. There's rumors about them trying to go in a direction that hopefully will work for them. But right now, if you watch people's take on Raw, Monday Night Raw for the past 2 weeks, it looks like things aren't clicking as far as Raw is concerned. SmackDown, on the other hand, is a totally different story. So we'll see if they continue their momentum tonight. But yeah, I think All Elite Wrestling is going to have the momentum that's needed. Now, Impact, again, they're hitting all the strides. They're building up to the next pay-per-view, which I think is Rebellion. I think that's the name. But I think they need to be careful about what they do, because right now, from what people are noticing, they might be not necessarily stealing, but they're basically not necessarily copying, but kind of putting the twist on their own story, on own twist on certain story arcs we're seeing elsewhere, or we've seen in the past. Like, the whole thing with Gail and Tessa, and or Gail Kim and Tessa Blanchard, I should say. But then recently with Johnny Impact and Taya, the way all of a sudden they're acting and their heel turn and all that. So to me, what it looks like there is what they're doing with Johnny and Taya is they're basically making them like the Edge and Lita for Impact this generation at this time and place. So we'll just have to see what they go from there in the future. But it definitely shows you what they're doing. Impact is doing. They're setting up for either Rebellion or Slammiversary, more likely Slammiversary, for Jordan Grace to win the Knockouts Championship and Brian Cage to win the Impact Championship. They're setting that up, and it looks like that's how far it may go. If they go any further, hey, more power to them. But again, I think out of all these promotions, I think All Elite Wrestling has the momentum right now to have the breakout year, have the year here in 2019. So, but that's just my opinion. Say that again, distinct changes. But that's just my opinion. All right, next up. What animes could be next in line for a live action CGI film adaptation? As we have seen, the Western Hemisphere has tried their best. Even Japan has tried their best to do live action takes on anime properties. There's reports Netflix is getting a couple of live action adaptations of anime properties like Cowboy Bebop and a few others. But the question is, who is next in line? Who is going to be the next ones in line for an adaptation into a live action CGI film? And that is a good question, but I think if you look in the back of me, I got that at the Apricot Fiesta a couple years ago. That is Princess Mononoke. As well, that's her name, Mononoke, I believe. But it's Princess Mononoke, and I believe she will be the next one that gets an adaptation. She'll be one of the animes they're going to look into to do a live action CGI adaptation in the future. So don't be surprised if you read somewhere that animes to be adapted into live action films that are in development to be excuse me, to be adapted into live action films in the future, or currently in development or in discussion to be adapted. Don't be surprised if Princess Mononoke's name is on that list. Another one I think they're probably going to look into, because it is a huge success, I think is going to be One Piece. I hear there's going to be a One Piece live action series, maybe. So I think it's only obvious they might do a One Piece live action CGI movie. So look forward to that. That to probably be announced soon. Another one I think is definitely needing to be considered is going to be Paprika. That is an interesting anime. It's very intriguing. And it definitely, I'll say this, if you like Ghost in the Shell and you like The Matrix and all its visual effects that it has and some of its WTF moments, then believe me when I say Paprika is the kind of anime that if adapted into a live action CGI film could be a visual spectacular event. There's no event of a movie, I should say, that you can't keep that you got to keep seeing, that you just want to go see to see what kind of visuals you're going to get out of it. I mean, let me put it to you like this: if you like what they did with Battle Angel Alita, then if they use the same process in doing a Paprika, a live action anime film, it'll be all worth the while. Another anime that I definitely think needs to get a live action adaptation here in the Western Hemisphere with the right people behind it. And it's had live action adaptations in Japan, don't get me wrong, but I think here definitely needs to happen, and that is Revolutionary Girl Utena. And I think what they need to do, honestly, because if you want to show how visually entertaining or visually eye popping the environment of Revolutionary Girl Utena could be, then I think they need to go and adapt. This is my opinion. Adapt parts of the anime feature film, which was kind of like a reboot, retcon of the original Utena anime and manga. That's what they need to do. That's what they need to do. They need to take elements from that and piece it and take elements from that, take elements from the manga and certain parts of the anime and basically puree it together into a very delightful live action CGI film adaptation. That's what they need to do. And if you really want to get people to go like, "What the heck am I watching? This is visually entertaining. This is a visual." What I'm trying to say is, you want people to go to the theater and be like, "Wow, visually this is a good movie," but some of these moments and scenes are like, "What the heck?" You know. I think the moment you need to adapt is the closing moments of the movie, of the anime movie, where for some odd reason they decide that the best way to escape the outside world or escape to the outside world or to freedom is to have one of the characters turn into an inanimate vehicle. So I think honestly, a Revolutionary Girl live action CGI film adaptation here on the Western Hemisphere, if they take the right kind of suggest moments and examples from each adaptation of Utena, and like I say, puree it into a delightful adaptation. Visually and storyline wise, could be very good. There is no doubt it could be very good. Now, the other one I think that needs an adaptation, honestly, a live action adaptation is, and this could definitely be mind. How do I put this? This could be mind binding WTF visuals up the wazoo. But I think the one that they need to do, I think, is if I can read it here, is Mind Game. Mind Game, of course, recently came out a couple of years. I don't know how long it was when Mind Game came out, but I think Mind Game would definitely be an anime that could definitely benefit from a live action CGI adaptation. There's no doubt about that in my mind. So that's what I think. And I don't want to leave it out because I know people might point it out. Norotro, Norotro, easy for me to say. Norotro needs to have one as well. And I think there's been word that he could get a live action CGI series on Netflix, but Norotro definitely is one to look into because just of the fact that visually, because come on, here's the thing about Norotro. Visually, the setting, wherever you put it, would be, no doubt, is going to sell it. The environments, no doubt, could sell it. But some of the powers and magic that they have could really sell it as well. So, to me, Nautro, again, easy for me to say, it's Nautro. I definitely feel could benefit from a live action remake, from a live action CGI film adaptation, I should say. And then, of course, it's been talked about. I don't know if they're still planning to do it. I know there's talk of doing a series on Netflix again. or doing a series on Netflix. But I think if you're going to do a live action film adaptation of any anime, you have to do Akira. No doubt. You got to do Akira because that is an anime that people have been wanting to see live in a live action CGI format. And if you're still planning to go through with it, you got to make it happen as soon as possible. You got to. There's no doubt, in my opinion, that you have to make that happen. So those are just the animes that I believe could be next in line for a live action CGI film adaptation. Now, last but not least, number 10, will MLP, My Little Pony, Generation 5, we don't know what the subtitle of it is just yet, but will Generation 5 of My Little Pony find the same success as Friendship is Magic, which is currently Generation 4? Well, I'll say this. If they keep, even though we'll have different voice actors and voice actresses for the characters, if they can keep some strong resemblance to Generation 4, despite the change of pony species for the characters, like Twilight going from a unicorn / alicorn to an earth pony, and Fluttershy going from a Pegasus to a unicorn, and Pinky going from an earth pony to a Pegasus. If they can keep some strong resemblance to the original, to Generation 4, to Friendship is Magic, despite the fact that some of the personalities might change here and there, but if they could keep some strong resemblance to the show overall, even adding in bits and pieces of the original G4 personalities into the main 6, then there is no doubt in my mind that if they do that, especially if, let's say, the movie is going to take place somewhere in between Generation 5, either after the first season and act like a bridge into the second season, or after the second season into the third season, however they plan to do it. If even the 2021 movie has any connection to it. But whatever the case is, if they keep some resemblance, strong resemblance, environment-wise, storytelling-wise, and keep some parts of the personality, kind of tweak in some parts of the G4 personalities of the main 6 into their new incarnations, I think without a doubt G5 could succeed. But I think what needs to be done, and a lot of people have pointed this out, is they need to keep the spirit of G4 somehow as a part of G5. And if they do that, if they keep the spirit, if they integrate the spirit of what made Generation 4 Friendship is Magic a success into Generation 5, as well as keep a strong resemblance to it in some manner, as well as sprinkle in parts of the main 6's personalities into the new incarnations, then there's no doubt, in my opinion, along with good storytelling and continuity like they have here with Generation 4, then there's no doubt, in my opinion, that Generation 5 will be a success. So if they do all that, keep a strong resemblance to Generation 4, if they sprinkle in bits and pieces of the original main 6's personalities into the new G5 incarnations, as well as keep a strong sense of continuity and storytelling, then Generation 5, in my opinion, will be a success. There's no doubt about it. There'll be no doubt about it. Like I said, there'll be no doubt about it, especially if you give the characters the proper time they need and the proper episodes focused around them that they need to really get us invested into the show and kind of reinvested into the characters, as far as their new looks and incarnations are concerned. And especially if you're going to go that TVY7 route with this, more so than you do with Friendship is Magic, which only gets TVY7 when certain stories and episodes are needed for it, um, then I think you'll have I think Hasbro and AllSpark Pictures will have a huge success winner on their hands. On their, this, they'll have a huge success winner, I should say, on their hands. But the biggest thing is keeping it on Discovery Family, because if you trot it out to Cartoon Network, then okay, fine. But it's going to be a lot harder because, like I've said before, Cartoon Network, with all due respect, has had a history of moving shows around and people not being able to find them. So I think if they keep Generation 5 on Discovery Family and broadcast it alongside Friendship is Magic and Equestria Girls and all that throughout the weekdays and even the weekends, then there's no doubt, in my opinion, that it will be a success. People will tune in to watch it. And like I said, keep a strong resemblance somewhat to G4, sprinkle in parts of the G4 personalities into the new incarnations of the main six, and have that strong sense of storytelling and continuity, as well as helping it really live up to that TVY7, almost TV PG rating, then there's no doubt, in my opinion, they will have a success. G5 will be a success if they do that. So yeah, will it be a success? If they do everything I just mentioned, then yes, G5 will be a success. So, but really, that's all I'm going to say, guys, on this Topics on My Mind podcast. For now, let me know what you all think down below. Thank you to all of you that did tune in live. I really appreciate it. And thank you to all of you that tuned in post live after the live stream has been uploaded and everything. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate the support and everything. Thank you all. Thank you all for that. And again, that's all I'm really going to say. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'd really like to hear from you on some of the subjects and topics I made. Hopefully you've taken your time in listening to this. And that's about it, guys. So till next time, God bless. Take care. And I am out of here. Peace. God bless.